Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Talks a Lot Boys. I'm your host. My name is Tyler, and as always, I am joined by the boys. We've got Brennan.
What's going on, folks?
And we've got Purple Shirt Kyle.
Yo, what's up? Put on my favorite frickin' shirt just for this event.
Your favorite shirt is a plain... Oh, there is something on it.
It says Pup Tent. It's a picture of a dog sleeping in a tent. Pup Tent.
Very, very cool. And you know what else is very, very cool? Some albums that came out this year. That's right. It is the very end of the year of our Lord 2021, and with it came some phenomenal albums. I was honestly very impressed with the sheer amount of quality albums that dropped this year. I feel like every time we did an album review of an album we enjoyed, we always said like nothing will top this, and then it was immediately topped like the next month.
Really was.
Just so much friggin' quality came out this year, and that is why today we are ranking our individual top 5 albums of 2021. And this isn't going to be an objective battle to rank things like we normally do. This isn't going to be violent. This isn't going to be filled with hate. This is simply going to be us listing off each of our personal top 5 albums of the year. So we're going to start with our number 5s, work our way up to our number 1s, go around the room, and just sort of see where we landed at the end of this incredible year in music.
Heck yeah.
Full disclosure, I am still sort of swapping things around right this second, so I don't even fully know what order my 2 and 1 are going to land in. They swap every day. But luckily, I go last in the order because I am a gracious host. So we're going to start today with Kyle talking about his 5th best album of the year, because I know you were also not prepared.
Thank you. Thank you so much. You gracious host too. Man, this was like such a difficult list to make. And I tell you what, if we were to do this list like in September, I would have known the 5 like immediately, like boom. And then like so many banger albums came out in the last couple months of this year. Yep. Like there are a couple albums like throughout like all the ones I was considering, like the majority of them came out in October, November, December. It's crazy.
Yeah, same.
Not even December, just October, November, actually. Like it's pretty much what it was, and it's crazy. But my number 5 is actually one album that came out earlier than that. One that I never got to talk about, and one that a lot of people have been talking about recently, you know, with Spotify Wrapped. A lot of people are like, oh man, what have you listened to a lot? And you know who keeps showing up on a lot of people's Spotify Wrapped that I've seen?
Kanye.
Yeah, it's Donda, motherfucker. Now.
I knew it.
Can you imagine? What's your number 5, Kyle? Donda. No, the person that has been showing up on a lot of people's Spotify Wrap that I've seen is a guy that none of us really expected this year. His name's Burnham.
Oh, right. I forgot that was this year.
I know, right? See, Burnham made a comedy special on Netflix. So many people. I mean, it's a comedy special, right? Like that's what it was.
Yeah. Boy, does it like devolve into something very different by the end of it.
There's a lot of layers. That motherfucker's an onion. It's a thick onion. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, he made a comedy special called Inside. Back in, I believe it was end of May, right? End of May, beginning of June. I can't remember for sure.
Sometime around then.
I know it was like right on the end of a month, and I didn't get to see it until the beginning of the next. So I didn't actually get to talk about it in my This Month in Music because I just kind of I just ran out of time to watch it at the end of that month.
Yeah.
I believe it might have been in May. And then we got to June, and I was like, shit, what have I done? I tell you what, I have not experienced something like that, I think, ever in my life. And part of it is because a lot of it is like a dialogue about like the pandemic and everything, which is what we've been going through so much recently. And like it was all about like his like perspective on like being alone, being inside, like by yourself, and like what your mind can go through when you're stuck inside for an extreme long period of time with like pretty much nothing to do. And it is wild. I mean, like, if you have not seen Inside by Burnham yet on Netflix, please go watch it. I mean, prepare yourself mentally, but like, please go watch it.
Like, don't do it if you're in a bad mood.
Yeah, if you're in a bad mood,
don't go into it with the misconception of like, ooh, it's comedy. This will cheer me up. It won't.
I mean, like, it'll make you like the roller coaster that comedy special is wild, because like there are moments where I was like fucking hysterically laughing, and there are moments where like my stomach was in knots because I was just so like bothered by some of the stuff he was talking about. And I just think like everything about that album was just such a cool, like everything he did was so smart. It was so like detailed. You could tell that he spent so much time on it. Part of it because he wrote it while in quarantine. So like he had a lot of time to just like focus on it, really work on it. And there's just so many little things. I mean, I could gush about it forever, but like the one thing that I really like, it's not even like the craziest thing that happens in it, but the one thing that like stuck out to me like on first watch, because I had now watched it multiple times because I'm like fascinated by this whole thing. It's very cinematic, very smart. Is in the song White Woman's Instagram, which is one of the funnier songs I think in the whole thing. He's constantly like talking about like the stereotype of white women on Instagram, and he's like recreating the pictures. It's really funny. It's really well done. And then all of a sudden it like shifts to like this white woman that he's been like alluding to. He's like lost her parents, and now she's like getting married, and it's like really real all of a sudden. And the whole entire song, it's like shot in like Instagram ratio, like 4:3, I think, whatever. And then it just like slowly opens up to like a normal like fucking ratio, and it's like a peek into like the real life of these people that like we stereotype. And then like as it like leaves that like really like honest, like she's like talking to her mom who passed away, it cuts back into 4:3 again, and then she goes right back into it, and it's like, holy shit, man. Like it just gives you fucking chills the way that he is able to like visually and musically portray some of these like crazy ideas. And that's literally like the tip of the iceberg. Like you can just go on and on with this shit. As far as like stuff that like I love from like the album musically, White Woman's Instagram, obviously I like a lot. Comedy, like the first big song, is probably my favorite in the whole thing. It is just so smart. So many like really clever things, like in like just the lyrics of it alone. If you wake up in a house that's full of smoke, don't panic, call me and I'll tell you a joke. And he's like talking about like how he like, should I keep doing comedy? Is that going to help the world when we're in a pandemic? Like, is there any impact in that? And it's so cool. It's so cool. It's just so thought provoking, so awesome, so well written. And I've always been a fan of Bo Burnham. And something that really struck me like right away when I watched this was how far he's come as a musician, even since like some of his older like comedy specials. Like his voice has like, he is really honed in on what he wants his voice to sound like. He's really honed in a lot of like actual like musical writing stuff. He's a really smart guy, but like he hit like a new level, and I didn't know if that was possible with some of the stuff he's written in the past, but like damn it's crazy. A couple other ones I really like a lot were the song 30 I like a lot. I think it's really clever. It's a short one, but I like the song Shit. He does a really good job at just really drastically changing things in the middle of the song, and it's very good. Right after its all-time low, speaking of things that drastically change. And then I think the other two that really stand out to me are Welcome to the Internet. That song is fucking traumatizing. Welcome to the Internet is just one of those ones that every time I listen to it, it like, you listen to it and then you catch more of it and like some of the stuff that he says, and you're just like, wow, man, that's like, it just hits so close to home, like all the time, every time, because you just feel another part of it because it all happens so fast, and it's just so smart. And then All Eyes on Me, like the one that a lot of people see all the time on like TikTok and everything that people show. But as far as like why it's fifth on my list, I think it's something I'm never going to forget about like this year, and more specifically what we're going through right now. I think it's just like such a great like timepiece that will always be remembered for like showing like the mental of a person that's like by themselves during this pandemic that, fingers crossed, will never happen again, but like, you know, probably won't happen again for a very long time once we get out of this, when we do. And that sticks with me so much that like I've been listening to this music so much ever since this came out. It like shows up all over the place. Everywhere I look on the internet, I see it, and I'm like, it just has had such like an intense impact on like just so much that I think about like in this last year, especially since May, that like I could not help but put it in 5th. It was kind of dancing on getting into my list, like jumping like from like 6th, 7th and getting in all on into the list in 5th. But when I listened to it again, I was like, man, this is like, it impacted me. Like, is it like compared to some of these other albums, do I think it's like a good like musical album? I still think it's a very good musical album, but like the impact it had and the all encompassing bits of it, just I had to like get it on this list to talk about at least a little bit, because damn, it's incredible. You should absolutely check it out if you haven't, because it's one of those ones we actually haven't talked about this year. A lot of the stuff you'll hear about us talk about today is probably stuff we've talked about, but this is not one of those. So please check it out. Bo Burnham's Inside. That's my number 5.
I respect it. I love Bo Burnham's Inside. I think it is the greatest film that came out in 2021.
I honestly, I
don't
agree.
consider it in the same vein as albums personally, so I didn't include it on my list. But I appreciate that you did.
Thank you. It musically, it has shown up in my life a lot over the last many months. Whether it be just by me coming back and reflecting on it, or just like people I know have come up to me and told me about how the songs impacted them, and like it was kind of almost like a gateway into having a conversation about like more difficult things that I don't think I would have had with certain people if this wouldn't have come out. And that also has impacted me. Like I mean, my relationships with people that I've had in my life for a very long time grew because of us being able to talk about issues through these songs, and that's awesome. Like, yeah. So really cool. I mean, for me, it really did just keep showing up, keep evolving in the way I thought about it. So, yeah, that's my number 5. And now we can move on to more positive things, because that it's quite the downer of an album. So Brennan's next, right? Mm-hmm. Mr. Gracious Host.
Yes, Brennan is next.
What you got, Brennan? Hit me with your number 5. I'm very excited to hear what your list is, because this one's predictable.
This one's pretty tough. So I had 2 really epic deathcore albums. I mean, technically 3 and then an EP, but 2 of them that really rose to the top, that I would consider album of the year contenders. One of them came out in February, I believe, and then the second one came out in May, I believe. So the first one that came out, of course, was Lifeblood by Brand of Sacrifice. I mean, that album was monumental for the deathcore scene. But in my opinion, there's an album that tops it. I feel like the selection of where they take the album is a lot more diverse, and I feel like the album as a whole is a lot more kind of free flowing with instrumentals and vocals and just pretty much how it's written. And that is Darko by Darko US. This album, they have some really heavy hitting songs Pretenders, Insects, Mars Attacked, some songs that are obviously right in your face, deathcore, really heavy driven. Then they have a lot of interludes and songs that are really soft, like Donna, for example, which I'm pretty sure is about the lead singer's grandma or something, getting dementia and all that good stuff, which has kind of a a similar effect to another song from another album that's going to be on my list. But I mean, this album has it all. It has killer features. It has just excellent instrumentals. Tom Barber really goes off with the vocals, which he is the current vocalist for Chelsea Grin as well. Totally revolutionizing that band, in my opinion. And I mean, this album, just from top to bottom, it's hard hitting. It's everything you want from a deathcore record, and it even branches out a little bit from the genre. So, in my opinion, I think that this is the best deathcore record that's come out this year. So it is number 5 on my list.
Nice, I respect it. I'm not a huge Darko fan personally, but I know you rave about them all the time. So I was fully expecting this to get on there somewhere.
Yeah. I honestly, this album slaps. I vividly remember you talking about this album a long time ago. Way back. Because when did this come out?
I want to say May.
In May. Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah,
'cause
May
I
7th.
remember you gushing about this, and it was like there was like an energy about like the way you talked about this album that I was just like, this one hit him. This one definitely hit him. So
Yeah,
I'm glad to see you come back.
Yeah, this one and Lifeblood definitely hit me, but this one hit me like way more because like Lifeblood, as great as it is, it's kind of one dimensional. While I mean, they have like interlude songs like the epic like sweeping choruses and breakdowns and shit, but like in my opinion, Darko just like does a lot more like throughout the entire album, and like just like their instrumentals are, I wouldn't say better, but like definitely more creative. While like Lifeblood just kind of more like shoot into what deathcore is. So, but yeah, fucking Darko by Darko US, fucking slapper of an album.
Hell yeah, man.
Tight.
So
my number 5. I will say my list, as per usual, is going to be extremely predictable if you have watched our channel or know my taste in any way. I will say the order might surprise some people. Case in point, my number 5, when we reviewed this album, when it dropped, I said something along the lines of, I will be shocked if anything tops this all year. This has to be my number 1 album. I don't see a world where it's not. And it's, I locked it in at number 5.
wow.
I had determined that I liked other albums better. Some albums that came out after the fact, some albums that came out around the same time that I've just grown to like more. But I still really, really enjoy this album, and I think it's a masterpiece, which is why it's on my list. But the album in question is The Architect by Idola. Which I'm assuming we're probably going to talk about more today on your lists. But, you know, it is definitely the best album Idola has ever made, without question. Absolutely smokes every other album they've made. It has some of my favorite tracks by them on it. Just the amount of like technicality that is crammed into that album is just mind-boggling. There's just so much crazy shit, and obviously we've done a full like hour-long breakdown that includes every single song. So if you haven't seen that, definitely go check that out. Because I'm not going to ramble about it too much today, since we've already talked about it to death. But yeah, I really thought at the time it was going to be my number 1, but with the sheer amount of other stuff that's come out, and just with the way I've sort of been listening to things, it just slowly kind of fell down the ranks. And I just haven't listened to it as much as the next 4 albums that I'm going to be talking about. But it is still a 10 out of 10 album, you know? It's real good. So definitely check it out if you haven't. I'm sure it'll be on at least one of your lists later on. So
somewhere.
That's my 5.
There we go. We did it. We got through 5s.
Yeah,
oh boy.
Got through 5s.
We're on a journey.
Oh boy.
We're riding up the mountain. Here we go.
Kyle, is The Architect your number 4?
No. There was a moment, I'm not gonna lie to you, that it was my number 4 until very recently when I re-listened to it and I had the adverse reaction to it that you did, and it moved up. Where to? We'll see. But I will say my top 4 is a rotating cast who I have considered the best album of the year multiple times in the last week, each of them. I have not. And I think I've come to an order in my head and in my heart. And it hurts. But I think I'm going to go with my number 4 being An Evening with Silk Sonic.
Ooh.
And when it came out the same day as Gold Necklace is self-titled. And that day I listened to Gold Necklace a ton because we reviewed it. And I was just so fucking in on it. I was like, oh, baby. And then I listened to Silk Sonic, right? I listened to this album, and I was like, ooh. And I listened to it so hard for, like, that next, like, 3 weeks or something. And it still is often played by me now, even to this day. Literally listened to it this morning. But You know, the more I thought about it, the more I like compared this album to the other three that I will be talking about, and I'm not going to give away other than the fact that one of them is Idola, is that this album is like kind of criminally short compared to the other two. Which I know is like not the best thing, but like when I'm nitpicking here, I mean, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 songs on the album. The first one is just an intro. So that leaves 8. Then 1, 2, 3 of the other songs came out as singles, 2 of which we've had for a very long time. So that narrows it down to like 6 songs. One of them that came out as a single like weeks before. So really there are only 5 new songs. And like, as great as they are, and I'll gush about them a little bit here in a second, the fact that like that is like comparatively the other albums when they dropped, I was really down with those 5 songs and the album as a whole, but like you just didn't have that same wow factors because there was like less of it to have in that moment, which sucks. But like I said, still really good. It's my number 4. Holy shit, this album, dude. I mean, like when we're talking about things that are like a lightning in a bottle things for this year, like Inside was, this really is like a project where Bruno Mars and Anderson .Paak come together and they make like an 80s love ballad band. Like, what the fuck? It's so cool. Like
70s. I would say 70s. It's more 70s than
it's
80s.
More 70s. You're right. But like the way they channel like this energy and like bring back this music and like breathe so much life into this music that we have heard nothing like since 70s, 80s. And it's just nuts how well they're able to do it. And I mean, honestly, with Bruno Mars' voice and the way that he is, I mean, it's very easy for him probably to dip back into something like this. I have always been a massive fan of Bruno Mars and his voice. I've always enjoyed Anderson .Paak. I've never been a huge like avid listener of him though. I've always like respected him as a musician and a music producer. But to see them come together like this, make a project like this is nuts. And something that all 4 of these albums do, this one as well, is they like tell such a cool story, like top to bottom, or at least flow super well. Like this one has like a full fleshed out love story that happens over the course of this whole album. Like it starts out with the intro of the band and like whatever, that's its own thing. And then Leave the Door Open, it starts out with like him just kind of like looking for love, and he's just kind of like searching. And then Fly As Me is him like kind of like hooking her in, Ooh, it's sexy. And then the bone, and then there's After Last Night that happens featuring Thundercat, which I mean, Thundercat. And it's just the sultry, sexy, ooh baby, just crazy night last night. Ooh, wow. And then they move on, and then it's Smoking Out the Window, and like the love's kind of falling apart, and you're like, oh shit. What? Oh, man, I guess she's really treating me bad. I don't know if I like her that much anymore. And then he leaves her. He's like, I'm done with this. You get out of my life. And then the next song is Put On a Smile, where he's just like, you know what? I was so happy with you, but I gotta move on. And the next one, he goes to the fucking club and gambling and shit. And then he's like, ooh, baby, 777, I'm just so lucky. And then he finds a lady and he skates about it for some reason. And like, oh, what the fuck? And then the last song's called Blast Off, where like he finds this chick that he was skating with. And I mean, skating, it's a metaphor. But and Blast Off is also a metaphor.
The roller skates stay on during sex.
Hell yeah.
Jesus.
But no, I mean, this, like, the way that, like, there is just, like, this love story that connects through and, like, this, like, life that, whoever this character is, I'd like to think it is Bruno Mars and Anderson .Paak together this entire time, going through this together. That's the funny image. But, I just think, like, overall, it's just such a cool, like, flow through the album. So much passion put into this project. You can tell they really love this kind of music. I don't know if they're planning on doing more. I don't know if they've announced it, if I just haven't seen that or not. I really hope they do. But if not, I'm kind of okay with it because, like, this is just such a cool album, such a cool moment in time. So well done. As far as favorites off the album for me, like I did with Inside, obviously Leave the Door Open and Skate, the 2 singles, lots of mileage on them, so I have a lot of attachment to them. But as far as like the newest ones, After Last Night, the sexy song, with Thundercat is fucking incredible. The harmonies in that song, I mean, the harmonies on this whole album vocally are insane because Bruno Mars and Anderson .Paak are great. But after last night, I don't know, like, musical terms what it is, but oh baby, does it make me get the chills every time they sing that one harmony at the end of that chorus. Oh, it's so good. And then the last song, Blast Off, it is fucking just such a, like, a ethereal experience, especially in the last, like, minute where they're literally just singing Can We Take It Higher? And they go, oh yeah, and then it goes up another key, and then another key, and then another, and it just keeps going for a little while, and they keep blasting off up those keys, and it's so good, it's so well done, everything about it is so crisp and clean, and I also just love this kind of music. I mean, it comes to no surprise to people that have watched the show that I like music like this, so this R&B, like legitimate R&B, just heartfelt, like stuff, it's so cool. But yeah, I could gush about it forever, but I'll cut it off there. Don't worry. The next couple albums we talked about already, so I'm not gonna gush about them as much. So don't worry about that. But no, this album is incredible, and Evening with Silk Sonic is my number 4, and will hold a special place in history because it's such a cool project.
Cool. I still haven't gotten around to listening to the full thing. I just listened to the one song you sent me, and I was like, I like this, and then I never went and listened to the full album. But I knew it was going to be on your list, so.
Heck yeah. Yeah, it's just such a cool vibe that you don't hear anymore. And that, like, in the simplest terms, it's something that doesn't happen anymore and probably won't happen again after this, unless it inspired people, which I'm down. Resurgence of 70s love ballads, please. Let's do it.
Well, Brennan, I'm assuming your number 4 is going to be not anywhere in that vein at all. So,
no, and I'll try not to talk about it at much length. My number 4 is The Architect by Idola.
Wow.
Whoa.
It's, as Tyler said before, it is like their best record, without a doubt. I mean, it just stomps on To Speak, To Listen, and Degenitaria. Because a lot of those albums have like really long drawn out songs that really don't go anywhere, but like the songs that do hit, like fucking hit. While this album really doesn't have that problem nearly to the same length, albeit there are a few songs that I don't quite enjoy as much as the rest of the record, but for the most part, I mean, it's just full of hits, and you know, there's no real like super weak links in the album, but I mean, all in all, I mean, it has some like the best songs I've heard this year, period. Like Mutual Fear from John, like featuring John Mess, like you know, that was one of the best singles that dropped. You know, Caustic Prayer, Forgotten Tongues, Unequivocal Nature,
Empty
you know,
Gardens.
I don't have that in my top 5 for it, but I mean,
that's fair. That's probably my favorite song off the album.
Yeah, I'm actually not that big on that song, but I don't know. The rest of it, like Counterfeit Shrines, like Occam's Razor, like the album.
I think you just listed every song on the album.
You listed most of the songs.
I listed 6, and I specifically left off Empty Gardens. But, I mean, the album just from top to bottom, it's just really good. And, you know, I think there's albums that are superior, and that's not to Idola's fault, because Idola put out probably the best record they possibly could have. But, you know, a few more bands are just a little bit more on their game. So, my number 4 is The Architect by Idola.
Yeah. It's just a testament to how good the music was this year that an album of that magnitude is registering at the very bottom of both of our lists. My number 4 is an album that came out on the exact same day as The Architect by Idola.
Whoa.
And yeah, I know. And so we already did a review of this also. And I feel like, honestly, we kind of undersold this, because I've now come back and listened to this album way more than I've come back and listened to The Architect. But that is Eternal Blue by Spirit Box, every metal simp's favorite album of the year. Rock Sound actually named them their band of the year, so that's really cool. Congrats, Spirit Box. But yeah, this album is in the same vein as like The Architect is the peak of Idola's career so far. The exact same thing can be said about Eternal Blue and Spirit Box. Granted, they've never had a full-length album until this point, just some EPs and stuff, but the sheer level of quality on this album is insane. Courtney LaPlante's voice, I said it in the review and I will say it again. I think she is one of the most talented vocalists of our generation. Her cleans are so beautiful, and she is somehow also capable of doing some nasty gutturals, and it's amazing. And I respect the shit out of it. And the fact that a band can kind of shift between these two very polar opposite sounds and then also kind of tie them together into this like unique sound. I really, really dig it. And I have found myself coming back to this album so much over the past however many months it's been out at this point, and it just impresses the fuck out of me. And I just really genuinely enjoy it. And I hope that they continue to make even more banging albums after this one. So, yeah, if you want to hear our full thoughts on that, go check out that review that we did.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, Eternal Blue by Spiritbox is my number 4.
Hell yeah, man.
Hell yeah.
I'm really glad you have it on your list, because that album actually, I kind of agree. I do think we kind of undersold it that day, if I'll be honest with you. I also think that like the sheer like magnitude of Idola's like just like insane climbing, you know? And not to say that their last album was bad, you know, Idola's. This one just like fucking knocks it out of the park. I think we were really in shock. We fully expected Spiritbox to be like really good, and then they were even better than that. And then Idola, we were like, it'll probably be a nice album, and then we're like, holy shit, this album. So I think that kind of like the shock factor really hit us there. But yeah, I have actually come back to it a decent bit too. Not as much as Idola, which is the opposite of you, but I do think I have come around to some of the songs that I kind of had like more, I wasn't as in favor of back when we reviewed it. And I think like as a full package, that album is like definitely up there for this year for me as well.
In my opinion, there are no weak tracks on it at all. Like,
I'd agree.
I tend to not skip anything from it, whereas The Architect, there are a couple that, you know, while all of the songs are good on a technical level, there are some that just don't resonate with me as much. I find myself skipping through it more and enjoying Eternal Blue as a full package, and all of the albums that I have left to talk about as a full package. So,
oh yeah.
But I digress. Kyle, we're back to you. We're on to number 3.
Well,
is your number 3 The Architect?
Dude, 543, baby. It's Idol. It's my number 3. Surprised I have it the highest of the three of us. Mainly because I was the one with the least track record with Idola going into us like reviewing the album. But holy fuck, did this album impress me. Yeah, I don't know. I share like pretty much every sentiment that you guys have had, except for the fact that I enjoy like listening like to this top to bottom more than I enjoy listening to Eternal Blue, and I think that's just more a personal thing in general. I don't know if it's like a technical thing at all. But I just feel like with this album, when I listen to it, and I said it in the review, and so I won't like gush about it too much, but it just like as an experience, top to bottom is just nuts. Like they even are able to take songs that like we often refer to as interludes, like shorter little bits, are just such a cool like digression yet connection between like these songs that like have very different vibes and are connected by these really cool things. Like top to bottom, this album is like you guys said, technically incredible. Empty Gardens, Caustic Prayer, Mutual Fear, are Unequivocal Nature. Those are probably like the ones that stand out to me the most on the album, especially Caustic Prayer and Empty Gardens. I think those are the two of the best songs I heard this year. Like in general, like the songs fucking wow me. I will never forget the moment when Caustic Prayer started, and I was like, my phone fell out of my hand because I was like, what's had so good? Oh my god! And I just kept on listening to Caustic Prayer over and over again. It was so good. And as a guy that doesn't have a lot of track record with Idola, I wasn't expecting much. I was expecting a good album, but I wasn't expecting something that like would like actually shatter my mind. And this album does it. Like it's so well crafted, so technically incredible. Yeah. And if you want to hear more about what I have to say about it, go check out our freaking episode, dude. Plugs everywhere. Whoa. Yeah, this album's incredible. Definitely check it out if you haven't, because there's a reason it's on all of our lists, and it's that good.
Yeah.
It's my number 3.
Speaking
baby.
of being on all our lists, Brennan, is it on your list twice? Is it also your number 3?
Of course. Why would it be?
Heck yeah.
So my number 3, I thought about not including in the top 5 at all, but the fact that it has some of my favorite songs of the year, and I think that, albeit it's not, in my opinion, like some songs kind of drop off, like some are kind of more filler, but they're still not bad enough to where I can count them as like bad songs. But like the highs of this album are so incredibly high that I just can't ignore it and can't leave it out of my top 5. And of course, that is Slow Bloom by the Home Team.
Fuck yes,
So-
dude.
Yeah, I mean, like there's like 3 songs on this record that could be in my top 5 songs of the entire year. Like it is,
Yeah, for sure.
Agreed.
like the highs that this album hits are like so monumental that it's just like, holy shit, like these guys really knock it out of the park with like a good chunk of the performances on the record. That being said, like I said, some songs are kind of, not the best, but they're definitely not bad. So I definitely couldn't rate it any higher than this, in my opinion. But I mean, because I remember like back listening to the Home Team, like Tyler showed me like She's Quiet, and like I checked out that album. They were more kind of like pop punky in a way. Well, this is more like,
I mean, they're a pop punk band.
yeah, but
They
that was even
actually,
like more
I remember
so.
they made like a tweet saying that like their first album was them attempting to do pop punk badly, and this album was their attempt at actually making like good music that they wanted to make that they're proud of. Something along those lines.
Right.
I like that
That makes a
tweet.
lot of sense.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense because
Yeah.
like that, I would regard like their earlier stuff being more like pop punk oriented. Well, this kind of like brings a lot of stuff into it.
Yeah.
It's kind of like outside of the genre. But I mean, this record, I mean, I hope they build on this in the future because I mean, for it to be this high, in my opinion, like that's, I mean, it just makes me anticipate like what they're gonna come out with next. So
Definitely.
yeah, Slow Bloom by the Home Team is my number 3.
Hell
Nice.
yeah, dude.
Without a
I'm
doubt.
really glad you talked about it, and I'm sure this is the last time we'll hear about it. No one else is going to talk about this
Definitely.
album.
It definitely.
At all.
Yeah.
I'm overselling
Nobody.
this album big time.
But I'm really glad you talked about it because complete honesty, didn't make it on my top 5, and actually it's for the reasons that you listed, Brennan. And it's not even that like objectively, it's like has weaker songs. It's just like personally, there are certain songs on that album that fucking pound. They pound so hard. I can't get them out of my fucking head ever since I heard them for the first time. They just get in there and they're so good, and they're like you, Brennan. They're like some of the best songs that came out this year. Fucking On, fucking Danger, the one last song on the album. I've come around to so hard, and then Watching All Your Friends Get Rich. Those are the 3 that immediately jump out to me. But yeah, I don't know. To me, the highs are incredibly high, but all these albums on this list either like impacted me a lot, like personally, or like I feel like all the way around, like objectively and to me subjectively, just fucking they lock it in. So I'm glad you guys talked about it because that was like the other one that was sitting in 5 for a little while there.
Mhm.
It was really close. So yeah, I'm really glad you guys talked about it, and we'll never hear about the Home Team ever again. So
I guess not.
Never.
I definitely
No,
won't
totally
be talking
not.
about it later.
No.
But you know what I'm going to be
Finally-
talking about right now?
what are you talking about right now?
Put to
Tyler?
bed.
What do you
What's
got?
up?
400-pound back squat by Bill Murray, because that's my number 3.
Excellent record.
Speaking of songs that almost made it on my list, holy shit!
Dropped my water. I kicked my water
albums.
down because I was so fucking excited. But yeah, this Bill Murray album, I said during the review that I didn't think that it topped Eggy Pocket for me. I have come around to it so much harder since then, and I now think that it is his best work. I listened to this album on a weekly basis. Like, I don't think a week has passed since it has come out that I haven't listened to at least 1 or 2 songs from it. Like, it's so good on a technical level, on like a meme level, on just every scale. Bill Murray just has such a unique flavor to his music, and every time he releases stuff, I just get so excited. I'm always so happy. And once again, for the second year in a row, he has just absolutely delivered. He has gone above and beyond, just cramming so much amazing technical bullshit into all of his songs. And it's like, it's a very short album, but as an experience, it is just so full of stuff to dissect, and every single song is just so enjoyable. Sometimes in just completely different facets than the previous song that was on it, but there's still somehow this like cohesive Bill Murray feel to all of it, even though there's a lot of rando chaos being like shoved in there, you know. And I respect Johnny Frank, the Bill Murray boys, you know, more and more every single year, because just so talented, man. So freaking talented. I can't get over it. I can't get over how good this album is. If you want to hear us gush about it, here's another plug. Go watch that review, because we reviewed that when it came out as well. It is a bop of an album. Super love it.
Yeah. Who would have thought that when we talked about our favorite albums that came out this year, they weren't the albums that we willingly chose to review? Like, can you imagine if we were just
Wage
like, it's
War definitely
Manic
isn't
by
gonna be
Wage
on
War.
my
Yeah,
list,
exactly.
so.
Yeah, can you imagine?
We willingly chose to talk about that one, even though we hated it. So
decided to branch out a little, have a little fun. But no.
yeah.
I'm glad
And the
you
John
talked
Broco album, that was disappointing. We still talked about that one, and that's not on any of our lists either. I would imagine.
No.
I would hope it's not topping any of our lists.
No, it's not. I'm glad you talked about Bill Murray. He is just a man that continues to pull even more new things out of his hat. And when will it fucking end? I can't imagine he keeps topping it. But at this point, I said that last time. So I'm pretty sure, like, legitimately last year around this time when we were talking about Eggy Pocket, I was like, man, he can't top this. And then he did. So I would not be surprised if he does it again. And I hope he does.
I hope he just keeps raising the bar constantly. Never drops it.
Nuts. The twang machine. Here, it's coming back, baby. Twang 2.0. Let's go.
2021.
Before we move on from Bill Murray and my number 3, he has put breakdowns of 2 of the songs from the album on his YouTube channel that were really fun to watch. So I would recommend you guys check that out. They were like 2 of our lower songs on the ranking. So I actually liked that, because then I was able to see some more like the nuances that I didn't even first pick up on. Nice. It's him and the guy who like mixed it, like going in and breaking down like different individual elements of it. Really cool. I hope he ends up doing that for every track on the album, but yeah.
That's really cool. I did not know he did that. I will absolutely check that out. And if you want to hear what he had to say about questions that we asked, check out our episode, because he freaking commented on our episode.
He's an amazing man. He acknowledged our existence.
What a legend.
Coolest moment of the whole year.
The question was a decent bit in the episode too, so he had to have watched at least like half of the episode too. That when we asked the question, he was listening and went, yeah, and he explained it. And if you're curious, check it out.
So Johnny Frank also gets a Cool Guy Award.
He does.
Also.
He really does. He absolutely does. He's a legend.
Who is your number 2, Kyle? Your numero dos, as they say in the other country.
Nice.
As in a bunch of other countries.
Yeah.
And this one.
And this one. Anyways, to avoid that conversation going on any longer, I think my number 2, honestly, these 2 are very neck and neck for me. It's very difficult. I'm going to go with my gut, and I'm going to say that my number 2 is another album that came out pretty recently. One that literally 3 months ago, if you would have told me it was happening, I wouldn't have believed you. And then Tyler one day texted me. He's like, hey, you remember Kurt Travis? And I was like, wait, what? And lo and behold, we got Gold Necklace with their debut album, Gold Necklace.
Hey,
that's my number 2.
That's also my number 2.
Holy shit, it's almost like wow, I'm so surprised.
We matched.
Whoa.
You guys want to talk about it?
Hell yeah, man.
Hell yeah.
I'm down.
Hell
Let's
yeah.
talk about it. I mean, it's just another one of those projects that I never expected to happen, and it did. And it does not. It delivers. It delivers so hard. It is so like jazzy, groovy, vibey, but also like so fucking tactical and just so like, ooh, I don't even know. Like, it's so hard to like put this album into words. Like, I get another thing that feels like it's unlike anything else I've heard before. with this one, we're getting more after this, most likely. So I can't wait to see where they go with it next. Imagine if this is just a one-off thing. I would be so sad. I'm pretty sure it was really well received though. So I'm imagining.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, and like for me too, like, you know, and I've talked about this multiple times already. I mentioned it on the review. I might have mentioned it on another episode of something, but this is basically a spiritual successor to a project that he had a number of years ago. That is one of my favorite EPs ever. That was like a one-time thing. And Kurt Travis and the ex-Sean guitarist dude came back together and did this. And it's like even better. And it just makes me so happy. And this one and my number one, which definitely isn't what you think it's going to be, just they flip-flop back and forth on like an hourly basis. I mean, my 1 and 2 are basically like tied. Gold Necklace is just such a unique sounding thing. And on a technical level, it is just mind-blowing. Every time I listen to songs on this album, I pick up on new little things, and they sound so groovy and vibey and creamy and dreamy. And I cannot get enough of it. I listen to it on like an almost daily basis. It is so good. It is such an amazing experience. My dad says it sounds like the Bee Gees, which is really underselling it.
It really is, actually. Whoa. Really? I mean, like, if the Bee Gees were fucking transcending time and space, yes.
Yeah.
Just fucking learned a whole new kind of
If the
music.
Bee Gees became elder gods, then I guess this would be the equivalent. But yeah, Gold Necklace is massively impressive. I will be listening to this for years and years and years to come. Possibly, probably even longer than my number one, but I'm a stan, so.
I'm a stan.
You little simp.
Yeah.
One last note I have to say about it before we move on from it is that earlier I was talking about how if you like know me and my style, you know I'd love Silk Sonic. This takes like kind of that like R&B like soulful vibe and takes it into like this more like poppy style and like little punky here and there that like we talk about a lot on the show. It's like kind of a merger of these like really cool styles that I have like my foot basically in both of them. I'm fucking like doing a split in these two styles.
It's basically swancore on weed.
Yeah, actually.
It's just real mellowed out swancore. There's no screaming. Yeah. It's very like smooth.
You get like the really nice little tappies and the little pluckies and the fucking ooh, I love it. And Kurt Travis, I mean, speaking of vocals that have come a long way, like whoa, like some of them vocals in this, like I mean, fucking like I mean,
yeah, like the harmonies at the end of Call Me Back is
Call Me. Oh my gosh, yes,
it gives me goosebumps every single time I listen to it. I've listened to it like 100 times at this point, and every single time it's so good.
Yeah. That was the next thing I was gonna say was that the songs that stand out to me, one of them is Call Me Back, a lot more since the first time I listened to them. I'm one of the only people in this camp, but Padme, I love with a fucking passion. The way they know how to deconstruct and reconstruct a fucking song is just nuts, and that song's full proof of it. Just the Right Way, Tootsie Roll, and Vibe With Me are the ones that really stick out to me that I come back to a lot. But this album, legitimately, there is not a bad song on it. I know I said that about the other albums, but like this one, like legitimately, you will never see me skip a song. Like actually, like
not even Lullaby.
Not even Lullaby. Like actually,
wow. I always
like
skip Lullaby.
No, I mean literally every time I've listened to this album, because like sometimes I'll come in and I know what song I want to start with, and I just listen to it from there. But like if I start from the top, I have every single time listened to the end. Like it is just.
Yeah.
You get into a vibe with it and you just can't stop. And it's just, man, I cannot wait to see what comes next.
Speaking of things coming next, Brennan, it's on to your number 2.
Nice.
Well, my number 2 is Eternal Blue by Spirit Box.
Damn.
Well,
I actually thought I was going to be the only person who put it on my list, so I'm glad that it is getting more recognition.
No, I mean, this record is incredible. I mean, like the Yellow Jacket with the feature from Sam Carter. I think that song is an absolute banger. And it's totally unexpected from like a band like this to Because like usually like a feature, like an artist just kind of like hangs out for a part, and then the rest of the song is the band's. But like in this case, like Sam Carter like carried the track, and I mean obviously he's known for like his bleh with Architects, and obviously Architects kind of like forms the genre for a lot of bands, but like to see him like sing a lot and really like carry the chorus and carry the song, like, I thought that was really neat. I'll say Sun Killer is one of the best album openers I've heard this year.
Definitely.
It is.
Definitely. Yeah. Thank you for saying that. I feel like you guys you were not on the same page with me when you reviewed it, but
no, I mean it's just how it like rolls in, like how like it starts off with like the kind of like electronica for lack of a better term, and then like the bass like carrying the first verse, and then like the chorus is more like ominous and kind of like in the background like musically, and then like they immediately kick into the second verse with like the guitar is like matching with the bass, like the foundation the bass had laid down before. I thought that was fucking next level.
Yeah.
And then it carries off into the second chorus, which is much more epic, and then the breakdown to finish it. I think my number one album has probably a better opener, but I'll leave that up to you guys to decide. But I mean, like just from top to bottom, like Secret Garden, like I mean, I absolutely love that track. The Summit is an awesome track. Like Soaking the Strings is like a really like hard hitting, like punch you right in the mouth song. Like this album is just full of them. And then of course, like it closes off with Constance, which is like the absolute best choice they had for an album closer. Cause I mean, like granted, like I said this back when we reviewed it, like this band's kind of like if Evanescence bought 7 Strings, and I feel like Courtney LaPlante and Amy Lee, like vocally, they're not too far separate. Because like her singing parts throughout are just like phenomenal, and then like just a super hard hitting guitar tone, like chug chugs and like breakdowns, and like honestly a lot more creative riffs than I thought they would have. Because like you listen to like Holy Roller or something, it's like very like one note, like boom, we're at it. But like this album was like so much more than that, and to celebrate like how like epic this thing was, like it has to be my number 2 for sure.
Damn. I am so happy that both of us put it above The Architect. That actually blows my mind. I thought it was going to be like fucking piping hot take between the three of us that I would put Eternal Blue over The Architect, but you did it by an even wider margin. So that makes me very happy.
Nice.
Yes, because The Architect is epic, but Eternal Blue just does like a lot more. Like it has just like so much more weight to it.
Yeah, I agree.
So,
well,
I don't, but that's okay.
Yeah, it's fine.
That's fine.
I mean, you're not as much into the metal-y stuff as we are anyway, so
that's fine.
Metal-y.
It makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like we said before, we are like a Venn diagram of
we
genres.
really are.
You are the funk man, Brennan is the metal man, and I am the pop punk man, and we all kind of meet in the middle in certain areas, and then not so much in other areas.
Yeah.
That's what makes our show so interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks
but anyway,
for
it's not interesting. My number 1 because it's Slow Bloom by the Home Team.
Oh, you're starting with the number 1.
You're going number 1s
well,
already?
I figured since we doubled up, we might as well just go around since I don't know. We fucked up the order because of
whatever.
Me. So whatever. I'm just gonna say my number 1, and it's not surprising to anyone because it's Slow Bloom by the Home Team. Everyone knew that's what it was gonna be. And my reasoning for this is more like life related than just the album, because obviously it's a really good album. We've talked about that a lot, and we have a whole video on it that you can go and check out if you are so inclined. So you can hear all the technical reasons why we love the album. But this band, kind of like we said before, like their first album was like very average. I was not like a huge Home Team fan before, but I remember when the first single for this album dropped and I listened to it and it just blew me away. And I was like, this can't be the same band. Like, this is so much better than anything they've done before. And every time they released a new single, it was just that same like bar of quality. And it was just so impressive to me. And I was hotly anticipating the release of this album by the time it came out. And it did not disappoint. It actually surpassed my expectations. And that just left such a huge impact on me. Reason number 2, I got to go to Phoenix to see them play this live like the day after it came out. And that experience alone sold me even further on this album and this band than I was already sold up until this point. Like, the trip itself was not the best because flights are awful, but getting to see them perform in like a really small, intimate setting, getting to hang out with the drummer and the lead singer afterwards for a little bit, and they're just super cool guys, super down to earth, and like the entire experience was just such a standout like moment of my year, and it's directly tied to this album, so I can't put it any lower than my number one, because it was like this album was just a bigger part of my life. It was sort of tied to these other outside things. Like, that trip will just be one of my favorite memories of the whole year. Even the parts where I was sleeping in airports and shit, that was horrible. Like, I will never forget that. And it was worth it to get to see that stuff played live and get to hear a song that wasn't even on the full album, which was also awesome. And now I'm just like super sold on this band. So like, while all these other albums, right, like I was already invested in all these bands, Gold Necklace, I guess, being an exception because they're a new project, but like this album restored me liking this band and like took it way further than I ever thought that I would ever like this band. And I just hope that they continue to kind of push in this new direction that they're going in, because it works so well and I super dig it. So,
wow,
that is my album of the year.
Fuck yeah, man.
By the home team.
I think something you said and all that too that I think has really kind of shown through in my list as well is like, this was the year of like new things that just fucking blew our minds. Like, for me, like, I'm now on the train of Slow Bloom, the home team. I'm on the train of Spirit Box way more than I was before. Idola, fucking Gold Necklace is a new thing. Silk Sonic's a new thing. Like, there's so many cool... Bo Burnham is back in my life. Who would have fucking thought I was talking about him in 2021 a year ago, you know?
Right.
Like, it's just nuts that, like, my top 5 has a lot of things in it that I, before this year, didn't even think were on my radar, you know? And then even things that didn't make it on my list are going to be on my radar going forward. What a cool year in music.
Hell yeah, man.
As far as number 1, this isn't a new thing. Haha, this is something I've been listening to for a long time. Way back in April, a little project came out of nowhere that was really fucking cool. And at the time, I just thought it was really neat. I gushed about it a lot in our April This Month in Music. And that is Starship Velociraptor by
I
Jonathan
forgot
Young.
that was an album.
Yes.
If I'm being honest.
And if I'm being honest with you, like, through the year, I was like, I have listened to this music so fucking much this year. Like, if I had a Spotify Wrapped, it'd be at the top. Like, it was constantly being played since April. And certain songs would like stick with me at certain times of the year. Like, I legitimately remember, like, there was like a chunk of time where I listened to like Glory or Gold, Settle with a Sword Fight, and Hyperspeed, like, more recently. And then like months before that, it was like, oh no, Man the Cannons, fucking Storm the Castle, Army of Tigers. Like, that was like what I was in. And then like as the year went on, I realized I just kept on fucking like focusing in on these songs, like different chunks of the album. And when I'm reflecting back on my year, like, different chunks of this album haven't like stuck with me more in different parts of this year, and it has been with me for so much of it that it is just so, it just has been with me, and I love it, and it's so much fun. I mean, like, I gushed about it a ton back in the April This Month of Music, so if you want to see exactly like my breakdown of it, because I kind of did a mini breakdown there because we didn't obviously review it, a plug you didn't expect, whoa, but a specific month. As far as it goes, like, the album, it's just so cool that Jonathan Young was just like, you know what? Fuck the music industry. Fuck what I've been doing for like the last years on YouTube. Like, it has defined me and I'm sick of it. And so he just fucking ripped the Band-Aid off and was just like, I'm gonna make the weirdest fucking metal, funk, just crazy shit. and it is so insane. Speaking of fucking random passion projects, man, like this thing is just nuts. Another thing I feel like I'll never hear again, anything like this. As far as favorite songs on the album, I could literally list off every single song. But the ones that I think that really do stand out to me are fucking Glory or Gold, Storm the Castle, Man the Cannons, and then Final Frontier are the ones that like really stand out to me. But man, this album has just not stopped being in my mind. Like, and it's because like the music is extremely well written. It's wildly technical, something I did not expect from a guy I've been listening to do I'm Blue Dabba Dee Dabba Die cover. Like he went from that to this, and now he's doing like serious stuff that I will say I don't think is like hits that same technical level as this does, because this is just him fucking nerding out basically. But if you know me, I like jazz and like nerdy stuff like fucking recently. Thank you, Scientist. And this really is like another cool mesh of things, like this overly technical thing that I love to listen to, like jazz and stuff. And then like this really fucking hard shit. Like some of these songs go hard, dude. It is so awesome. I still remember when Jetpack Race came out and I was like, what the fuck is this? This is awesome. And the rest was fucking history for me, man. I love this album. If you haven't checked it out yet, I know we haven't talked about it a ton because we didn't review it, but please check out Starship Velociraptor by Jonathan Young and Galacticraken, which is totally a real band that he didn't make up, of space crusaders that write music and travel across the galaxy. Also, he gets the Cool Guy Award for saying something about us on Twitter. So
yeah, he's one of the few people who responded to us, which is really cool.
I gushed about that album and my breakdown of it. He tweeted at us and was just like, "This man gets it." I was like, "Oh shit! If you want to know what it was that I got, watch the video."
Yeah,
but yeah, my album of the year is Starship Velociraptor. A fucking weird one, but damn, man, I kept on trying to like figure out ways where like Gold Necklace and Idola and fucking Silk Sonic beat it. And every time I just had so much fun listening to this album, and just that pure fucking fun and passion. It kept bringing it back to number one for me. So I'm going with it. Fuck it. That's my number one, baby. I love it.
I respect it.
Jonathan Young continues to make me happy, man.
Wow.
Hell yeah. Well, Brennan, it's time.
It is time.
Round us out.
So this is an album that I actually missed when it came out. So I didn't include it in my May 2021, this month of music episode. This record, I'm amazed that this band did not crack my top 5 in Spotify Wrapped, because I played the absolute hell out of this record. In my opinion, it is one of the most unique and creative opening tracks I've ever heard in a while. Just edging out Sunkiller from Spirit Box for this year, but I feel like those two are towards the top. This record, this is a total curveball. I don't even think I've ever really shown you these guys, but maybe a little bit. I remember playing them at the tournament a little bit because I discovered them like right before the tournament.
Gotcha.
So maybe like 2 weeks before, and this record continues to amaze me, and that is The Uncanny Valley by Deadlights.
I've never heard of this ever in my life.
I know, right? I know. What a weird final
what a twist.
What a plot twist.
Seriously.
It's like an excellent combination of the things, and especially like the opening track is like, it's unreal. Just how like unique it is compared to other works from like similar bands. Like their instrumentals, especially their drums, like their instrumentals, like they're just extremely crisp. Like for a majority of the record, they kind of stick to the genre, but like everything they do is super clean. Like it all just like really gels well together instrumentally. And then they have like a screaming vocalist, and then their actual only guitarist also sings, like he does cleans, and his voice is like so unique. Like it's like kind of, if I were to compare him to a guy, I don't even know if you guys are familiar with this band, but there's a band called Thornhill.
I've heard of
like
them.
Yeah, like those two vocalists like sound like pretty close to one another, and they actually toured together a couple times, so like I'm not surprised. but like he hits some like insane notes. Like there's a song called Pythia where like towards the end of it, like, he gets up to like damn near Tillian levels. Like he's just like fucking belting like super high.
That's impressive.
And I mean, like just like it's like an excellent ending to that song. And it seems like each song is like its own like, kind of idea, even though they all have come from like the original same idea. And the album's kind of like the reason why it's called the Uncanny Valley, which they actually talk about in the first song, is like, you know, looking at the world from afar, you think everything's like going great and all that shit. But like whenever you like zoom in, like a lot of things like aren't quite what they seem, and you know the world's like a kind of a bad place right now. And you know, I can't remember the exact vocals, but like it's kind of like the album's kind of about like the end of the world and how like it's weird that like everyone's kind of like cool about it. And I don't know, like it's just like I can't stop putting this record down. I mean, like this, The Architect, Eternal Blue, you know, Slow Bloom, like, you know, and then obviously my number 5 with Darko. Like these are 5 records I just can't put down at all. But like I've been listening to these 5. I've been listening to all 10 that are on my playlist, but like this one just sticks out to me more than the others because it like branches out and it stays in its own genre all at the same time. And it's really cool to like see a band kind of like come into their own. And granted, they're not super popular, but I mean, damn, they really impressed me with this record. So my number 1 is The Uncanny Valley by Deadlights.
Wow, I will definitely have to check that out at some point.
Same.
Yeah, definitely listen to it from top to bottom. And then obviously the 5 that I have in my playlist are probably the best 5 in my opinion. But yeah.
Yeah, I'll check it out for sure. Definitely.
Fuck yeah.
Well, that brings us to the end of not only this video, but it brings us to the end of a very, very fun 2021 here on the Talk Slop Boys. What a year it's been. This is our first full year on YouTube. You know, we started in 2020. Well, no, I guess we did start in like January 2020. So this is like the end of our second full year on YouTube. So that's pretty cool. I guess this is like the first full year that we've kind of committed to like one singular thing more than anything. We've kind of like found ourselves a little bit more. And our following has doubled, which still blows my mind. Thank you to every single person who has subscribed and who, you know, engages with us in the comments and stuff. Like, it's just every time I take a second to think about the fact that people give a shit about our random opinions about music, it just makes me smile. Because it's like,
Same,
man, that's so cool. Y'all are just really cool people. So thank you for making our year a little bit better by tuning in and listening to us bullshit with each other about all of these bands that we like. And we definitely have some more very fun things planned for 2022, and that's going to be awesome. If you want to be, you know, a part of that, and you're not already, you can go down there and hit that subscribe button, ring a dang dong the bell so that you get notified for all the things. Make sure you like this video if you liked it. It's more important than ever now because dislikes are not a thing. So if you don't like it, people will just think no one likes this. So, you know, that would also make us very happy if you started liking the videos now, if you haven't already. And make sure to also leave a comment below. I know some of you do that a lot. Shout outs to all you guys who do that. We love you. We appreciate you. And, you know, you can join the group of tens of people who like to share their opinions with us. And we always love reading those comments and learning a little bit about y'all. It's super cool, super fun. I am very, very excited for 2022, not just for our channel, but because I already know about some albums that are cooking up that are going to be dropping next year. And man, am I excited. I hope that it is an even more, somehow, an even more immaculate year for music than this year was. I have very high hopes, and I hope that they come to fruition. Before we close it out, any final thoughts from the boys? Brennan first.
Nice. Nice.
We're
learning.
I fixed the problem.
Yeah. I mean, we've had a very good year. You know, we broke 3 digits, subscribers on YouTube. We're starting to get some recurring fans that comment and like every video. I mean, obviously they got to watch every video. I mean, it's incredible. We love the support. We love the feedback. We love the, maybe differing or maybe very similar opinions you guys give us, because like it shows us that not everyone thinks the same way, and not everyone can look at like the same thing and get like the same result out of it. And I think that's like super cool, because there's, I mean, of course in our power rankings, like there's songs that some people love that we just put in the basement, and there's songs that people loathe and we put to the top. But I mean, we try our best to be objective. Obviously like this episode is a little bit more subjective. But to everyone who reaches out to us, to everyone who subscribes, likes, comments, all that stuff, we're greatly appreciative of you. And, this episode should be coming out sometime like before Christmas. So I just want to wish you all a Merry Christmas and, of course, a very Happy New Year. And let's make 2022 our year.
Hell yeah. Dab for Brennan.
Caca. Oh.
The fact that you guys did that at the exact same time across a fucking Skype call is so impressive.
me and Kyle are intertwined.
Ooh. We're at odds
anyway, Kyle.
At this moment. Yeah, I mean, I mirror pretty much everything you guys have said. The main thing that I feel like, I mean, thank you guys so much for checking everything out with all of this. I mean, it is so much fun for us to make this stuff. We have so much stuff planned that we want to be able to do that hopefully you guys will really like. Some changes, I think, for the better, and just so many cool ideas that we're really excited to show you guys. Yeah, this year's been a blast. Like you guys said, hitting triple digits. I never would have imagined us getting there this year. Like, legitimately. I was like, if anything, 2021's the year the Talks a Lot boys are just going to fucking just fizzle out and just sit stagnant with like 2 people that are going to be like, you're fucking wrong, losers. But no, we actually have people that like enjoy it. And I love reading the comments. You guys is like everything that you guys like recommend, I try to check out, like how Tyler, this is in Coheed and Cambria out of nowhere because of Joseph. We saw Thank You Scientist live. We did see
by happenstance. We saw Thank You Scientist open for intervals, so we like them now too.
I can't believe that I didn't like them before. Thank You Scientist is so good. They dropped an EP in November and we fucking missed it because I didn't listen to the people in the comments. Fuck. But I'll learn from that mistake. Lastly though, I mean, doing this, like when we record these episodes, it is just such a cool escape moment where we get to hang out, talk about stuff that we love. And I really hope that it's like that for you guys too. I mean, from the comments I read and you guys, the way you guys are like really passionate about things and comments like we are when we're talking about them here, I really hope it's a nice little escape for you guys too, because it is for us. And I'm glad we get to share it together. So thank you guys so much.
Hell yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And dab for Kyle. You did it again.
Yeah.
It's just
seamless. We're just on point, bro.
Synchronized. Amazing. Wow. What a way to end 2021. Yeah. Thanks again, everyone. We have been the Talk Slot Boys. We will talk a whole lot more next year. We'll see you later.